Hello and welcome to the show. We are here on Forza Horizon 4 today with the Lamborghini Urus. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of SUVs whatsoever. However, if I had to have one, well, the Urus is the ideal. At the end of the day, it is more capable than you might expect, fairly decent looking, makes quite a lot of power, is pretty damn fast. For what it is, yeah, it's pretty damn good. However, I have thrown out the gauntlet to see who can build a car to beat the Urus for as little money as possible. This is not about getting it for half the price of an Urus or so on. This is for getting as little money as possible while still having a vehicle that is capable of beating this mighty Lamborghini. These are the contenders. We'll start at the cheap end of the spectrum. We have an R32 Golf. This less than 50,000 credits, just 49,550 for the Golf. We have a Mitsubishi GTO, this 53,850. This, another GTO, however, a more expensive one at 63,000 credits. However, of course, they need to be able to beat the Urus. Perhaps this cheaper one hasn't quite got the speed, hasn't quite got the ability to beat the Urus. We'll see how that goes. We have a Touareg up next at 64.9 thousand credits. A Veloster, an interesting choice, at 73,000. There's a Focus at 73.3 thousand. A Volvo Estate, because you need a boxy estate for this sort of thing, up at 81,000 credits. We then have a Land Rover. These two are actually both quite sensible vehicles for taking on the Urus. The Land Rover is up at 83,000. The big old Chevy Colorado is up at 84,000. The Focus comes next at 93,000. This end of the spectrum we would expect to beat the Urus consistently, but you're paying a lot more for the cars. And our final vehicle, the Rally Vandura, up at 102,000. Still cheaper than that thing. However, that's twice the price, over twice the price of the Golf. That's quite a big amount. We will have to wait and see, though, what vehicles, the important parts, are capable of beating this. Of course, to test out the vehicles, we're going to go for some rather more extreme environments than we would perhaps normally have to deal with. Also, to keep everything on a level playing field, because we're doing some extreme off-roady events, the Urus has been fitted with off-road tyres. Everything else is going to be fitted with them. It's snowy. For this first race, we're going to be on a frozen lake. So, to keep everyone on a level playing field, we've all got off-road tyres. So we are starting quite a long way down the field, which is, not ideal. We've got some ghosty cars off of the grid, and then we turn right onto the lane. Now, I have built an ice racing circuit in the past. This is a slight refinement, if you like, on the ice racing circuit. It is a little bit nasty, a little bit technical in places, but it's not too bad. It's one that we can hopefully race on quite nicely. There is a nasty bump that we will find, and I'm sure we will see a good number of cars falling over on in the latter stage of the circuit. Oh, the Veloster's very wide. I'm going to try and sneak it. It didn't really sneak up the inside of the Ford. It ended up in the door of the Ford. We're hemorrhaging positions at the moment. Now, I'm hoping we can possibly recover a little bit. On the snow, we'll get a little bit of grip from the front of the Urus. We will bang doors with the Focus. Come on, Lamborghini. Find some drive in all of this. That is a good transition for me. Now, everything here, if it didn't start off as all-wheel drive to begin with, will have been swapped to be all-wheel drive. Well, the fact that everything is going fairly quickly here. Oh, I think that's a missed checkpoint from the Vandura. There is a wheelie from the Colorado. That's the nasty bump that someone's going to get caught out of. The rocks are also not always as movable as you want them to be there. So, you have to watch out for that as we dive down here. Up at the front, we have actually got the two cheapest cars currently. Ninetales driving the cheapest of the cars, the Golf that is sub 50,000, and Impega driving the cheapest of the two GTOs. I've run very wide through there, not got the turning I wanted whatsoever. It looks actually pretty bloody close up at the front between that large group of cars. The Touareg is running away from me slightly. Unfortunately, not much I can really do on this one. Land Rover can't seem to stop. Oh, we're going to have a collision course. Sorry, Land Rover. Problem is, there's a couple of different lines through there, and if you're on one of the contradictory lines through all of that, then you are going to be in trouble. We are going to sneak up, go side by side. Oh, God, on the ice. Don't want to be on the ice there because you don't get any sort of drive. It's this little ballet we are doing out here on the snow, on the ice. Oh, did not want to be over there. If you are not on that snow patch when you go to make that turn, you're screwed. That snow patch is so important. I say it's weird. You get used. I think you get used to it. We've done a few times this ice racing stuff. Basically, you want to be on the snow. If you're not on the snow, you have absolutely no grip. Oh, it's a roll! The Land Rover's in the bank. Land Rover's gone. Colorado's gone in the background. There's no real easy way to head back onto the path, if you like, to try and get to the start-finish line. However, this particular one, I have been quite mean with my positioning. I didn't realise when building it quite how mean it was going to be, but it's very, very mean. If you do not get it spot on, you fall over. The 850R is falling back from the group ahead, but it is faster than my Lamborghini. We are going to be distinctively midfield, it would seem here, unless something falls over further up. I'm actually a little bit worried about that Vandura. Oh no, I'm going to get stuck on the outside. I don't want to be on the outside. The only good news is we're making it awkward for the Vandura. That's not really going to be able to do very much about finding a way past. We're just going to kind of hug the snow bits where we can, get that little bit of turning, that little extra benefit you get from being on the snow. I've got nothing to answer those top vehicles. I've got nothing. We're losing a second to sector. Oh, the Focus has had an issue somewhere along the lines. We will bounce our way up there. The Vandura makes it work as well. We might have to defend into turn one. The Vandura's got a lot of speed. Got a couple more laps. I mean, a couple of laps trying to fend off from that Vandura is going to be tough out here, I fear. The Vandura can make the most of its acceleration in places. Oh, I'm going to have to try and be brave here. Oh, slide across in front of the Vandura is the plan. Make the Urus difficult to pass. That we can do, I hope. Wow, we might not even fit. They're so much quicker than me out on the frozen lake. Vandura's just got the acceleration. It's just got the acceleration to burn. Although I'm going to try cut underneath. Try and park it on the apex. Well, I say on the apex-ish a little bit. It's a fun exchange, for sure, that we have got going on here. Can I duck back underneath the Vandura? No, the Vandura does a really good job. That's what I was doing to the Vandura, essentially. It decided to me, which is fair enough. That's racing for you. The Vandura has no grip out here. It's just slipping and sliding its way around, as you would expect in many ways. Yeah, it's trying to go for that. Trying to go for that sort of bite on the snow. I actually changed direction a little bit too much. Slightly went the wrong way, as you do. Ah, bugger, I need the Vandura to do the decent thing and fall over. The Vandura has not done the decent thing and fallen over. Has actually got round the final section pretty quickly. We've not lost much more time on this final lap. It's almost like I've figured out how to drive the Urus. I mean, I think we lose like a second down the straight there, pretty much. And we're going to come barreling into this corner. Oh, with a lot of speed. Oh, with a little bit of a nudge. Sorry. Unintentional on the... Nothing really that's happening here is intentional with the Urus. Not driving it amazingly well here. We're trying to do the little sneaky up the inside line here, which has worked in the past. Problem is, you've really struggled to get any momentum on the exit. Vandura's going to get back past us again. Now, we can... maybe park that there, and then I've got to try and get it turned. It's just make the Urus awkward. Oh no, I'm on the wrong side though, because that's going to get all of the grip on the snow. Now we're going to try and do this little crisscrossy bit. I can't do it because the Vandura... Oh, the Vandura's going to slide though. Can I punch my way towards... I just scraped the checkpoint. I don't know how I managed that. I'm going to be worried that we're going to get out accelerated. The Colorado's almost caught up. Oh, it's going to be side by side. Oh! The Vandura's gone. 10 out of 10 ending. The Vandura went for the inside. Bloody hell, I admire the commitment right there. The Vandura wanted it. That's a hell of a crash. That is one hell of an accident right there from the Vandura. The Colorado that was catching us towards the end, it was faster than us if it hadn't fallen over early on. Yeah, that little lip is quite dangerous. That little lip is very dangerous, to say the least. And put on a good show. At the end of the day, that's the important thing. Did it put on a good show? The answer is yes. Yes, it did. So, our next race, we head to the Ambleside Village circuit, but with one important difference, quite a few important differences. We're going to not only be tackling some snowy streets, a little bit of dirt roads, but we are racing through a river. Yes, actually through a river. I'm starting down the back. The game is not really giving me much chance here, I'm not going to lie. Again, this is another circuit we might see some cars fall over. In testing, we saw a good number of vehicles fall over. The Land Rover in particular, very good at going for a tumble around here. I've got a lot of work to be doing. Now, the Urus should be pretty solid here. It has got decent amount of ground clearance, decent ride height for dealing with that river. It's not a bad handling vehicle, certainly. So we'll plough through the first corner. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we can make up some time in the river. We're going to need to. We're certainly going to need to. Oh, a little bit of lag from the Vandura. Now, there is a nasty river chicane, if you like. There's just a cluster of cars going on the... Oh, God, on the islands, essentially. Now, we're going to try and make it around the outside, make the most of the Urus's strengths here where we can. There are some GTOs not having a fun time in the river. You see, we will go soaring past the GTOs. Now, the Colorado, we don't really want the Colorado at the front. That is likely to be very quick around here. The Touareg also likely to be quite good here. The Vandura, probably not so good on the tarmac stuff. It's quite the ungainly car. That's perhaps a little unfair. We can probably catch it through here, but it is way faster accelerating than we are. The GTO is a better handling car, of course, for this sort of stuff, but can't really do the river bits. Ooh, the Colorado's had some trouble. That gives us half a chance. I'm just going to hug this sort of snow on the inside and try and make that all work. What have we got? Oh, we've got the other GTO is coming to join in the fun and games of all of this. Don't know where the Golf is. I got a little bit distracted from that. Oh, there's the Golf from that previous race when we had a Vandura doing a front flip next to us and didn't really pay all that much attention. I do apologise. Oh, the Vandura's done another crash. The Vandura is not the most stable thing in existence. The Vandura is not very good at staying upright, I think it is safe to say. Oh, I'm going to end up in the door of a Land Rover. Is all of these bloody converging lines. That is the downside of this sort of race, when there is about 30 different converging lines going on at half the corners. You do end up, well, with that sort of stuff. The Land Rover, I think, is going to lose out in the end to that. Yeah, just can't match the Colorado. The GTO is better through here, and in many ways I'm better off just letting the GTO go. Although, oh, no, don't fight that there. We'll end up in a building, which is not what you want. GTO's ended up in a wall, not what the Mitsubishi wanted either. It might have an Urus in the back. No, we all got away with it. My main goal is, try and keep ahead of the GTO if I can towards the finish line. I'm not necessarily expecting to. My main goal, though, is to beat the Land Rover. Stay ahead of the Golf would be nice, if at all possible, through all of this. I mean, it's a fiddly little section around there. The GTO, oh, there's a fallen over Colorado. It's recovered well. It's just, it's so much better in the river than all of us. It's just so much better in the river than everybody else. I don't know how and why. I guess it's got the ground clearance. Land Rover's overdone it on the on the exit of the river there. That helps me out. We run away from the Golf. We get far enough away from the Golf that it can't quite match us when it comes to this section. Now, if the Colorado doesn't fall over, if Britain keep that Chevy from falling over, the GTO might be in trouble around here, I think, because it is so iffy. I say it's so iffy. It's a sports car. You know, ultimately, it's never going to be that good when it comes to driving through a river. That was part of the reason why I picked this course as a place to go racing. So yeah, the R32 911 Golf will catch us. Oh god, there's something else to hit there that could lead to a falling over vehicle. Catches us through here. Oh, the GTO actually ended up in the tree. We will get back past, though. The R32 overdrove the corner. Now, we want to be up on this banking here, really. And, I mean, the Urus is not bad in the water. However, the more we can keep it out of the water, the better that we can do. This is where the GTO is horrible. The GTO just doesn't like this little section here. It is where the Golf likewise behind struggles, and where the Colorado doesn't care. I don't care too much. See, look at the gap. The Golf has fallen back into the clutches of the Land Rover right about now. The Land Rover's actually done well to stay where it is. Very easy to fall over in that. You saw how easy it is to fall over, in fact, around here. And still, I cannot get past that damn I can't get myself into a position where I can be ahead of the GTO for this bit, which is the important bit, the run towards the line. We are actually a little bit stuck in a kind of no man's landy area. In fact, the Golf has fallen quite a long way back. That may have been a rollover somewhere. If that's dropped as far back, a missed checkpoint or a rollover, I imagine, would have gone on with that. Oh, please stop, please stop, please stop. Now, I guess I have the small advantage here currently of I'm not having to battle with anybody. I have that small advantage if I can use it well. Don't go to the inside there because you roll. We've seen it too many times before for the higher riding vehicles. I don't know whether the GTO could fall over there if you tried to make it. We've actually got a very good run through the river here, but where am I going to go? The GTO is going to not be able to quite get us. We're up to we were briefly up to second, and I cannot dive bomb on that car. It will break and it will turn better than me. But we are closer than we were last lap around. This is what we needed. This is what we needed. I think it's put pay to any chance. Yeah, the GTO just cannot get close to that Colorado for what would be the ending section of a race. What can we do? This is the battle now. Can I get myself close enough, keep myself close enough to that car when we get into the river? I fear not. I should probably put the checkpoints better there. Not going to lie. Yeah, I mean, this was, as I quickly built. I knew what I wanted to build. I knew the sort of challenge I wanted for the vehicles, so we came up with this mad circuit. It does do the trick, certainly. We're going to run wide around there. I like the sort of risk versus reward of how much do you keep the vehicle out of the water, how much do you run on the banking down here. I'm not close enough this time around. The GTO's done a good job through that first section to be far enough away. Barring a bit, I can get right there. I'm right on the bumper, but of course I can't dive bomb down here. The Volvo is actually up into a 4th place, which is interesting to see. The Land Rover's dropped back, which suggests it's probably fallen over somewhere around here. I don't quite know where the Vandura's ended up. A decent way, I say a decent way down. It looks like it's going to be a podium, though, for the Urus. Oh, what a race. What a massively intense race that one was. Good fun. We got down to, I mean, lap time-wise, yeah, all pretty bloody competitive. A 104 for the Colorado, the GTO at a 5.5. I was at a 5.7. There's a lot of low 6s, a 5.9 for the Focus in all of there. The Golf at a 6.1. The Vandura ended up in 10th place by the looks of it, just pipped on the line by the Veloster ahead of the Focus and the other GTO. Oh, okay. Well, the consistent vehicles for beating the Urus in those first 2 rounds would indeed be the GTO, having been the only car to beat it in both of them. Our next challenge, sticking of course with the fairly extreme off-road flavour, we've got a drag race, but to make life more interesting, rather than just, you know, doing a drag race on the beach or on the ice, no, what we have got is a drag race down the Mudkickers Park. Yes, we're going to use this centre run. We start off at the bottom of this. We've got to climb a hill. We've got to take a jump. We've got to take another kind of jump through some water, land that, worry about bouncing around, some more jumps, another bit of water, more chances for vehicles to fall over, and all the way down here towards the finish line. The finish line is the kind of edge of this puddle, because it's the only thing that we can't, well, hit and move. There's not much. It's a little difficult doing a finish line when we're on this, but, you know, we're making the best of it that we can. I am hoping the Urus's suspension, because I mean in my heat, I've randomly drawn the heats here. We've got 2 SUVs, the Touareg and my Urus, up against a Focus and a GTO. And while technically I probably have the least power here, my hope is that my suspension, the torque and whatnot, should be pretty good for dealing with the nasty demands of this section. I'm less likely to fall over maybe on the bumps than the sports cars. We are off the line not amazingly well here. We are off the line better than the Touareg. It is side by side now. With the way these heats work, the top two will go through, and it's going to be Touareg and Urus that go through. Oh, focus is off in the distance. The GTO had an amazing start, just couldn't keep the speed up. The Touareg and the Urus go through to the next round. Yeah, top two will make it through from the heat into a semi-final. Unfortunately, that puts pay to the GTO and the Focus in all of this. I'm pleased with the performance. I'm pleased with the performance of my car. It's worked out for us. We had the suspension, really. Okay, we are into the next round. Let's see what the next vehicles have to offer. So, on to the second heat. We have got a Focus and Vandura and a Land Rover that's slightly laggy. That will sort itself out when we launch. And a Colorado. I mean, well, that's fallen over at least twice. That's fallen over quite a lot, but not on camera. That's fallen over at least twice on camera. And I mean, that's not. If the big things fall over, lack of stability, the Focus might stand a chance. I fear for the poor little Ford if the others don't. I think they've got the power, they've got the torque that the Ford simply will not have. The laggy Land Rover will go back into position, hopefully, when we launch. There we go. It is a good launch from the Land Rover. We expect the Land Rover to be pretty bloody fast in all of this. The main competition will probably be between the Vandura and the Colorado. It's the Colorado that's better through the water. That's where the Chevy is making its speed. Land Rover will take a victory from the Colorado. Oh, the Focus is there eventually. It's the Colorado's ability through the water is amazing. The Vandura, they were neck and neck into the water. The Vandura just loses so much speed, and the Chevy just goes. Just absolutely goes. The Vandura will not be partaking anymore, unfortunately, for that. It is out. That means that the Land Rover and Chevy will join me in the next round. So, from the big car heat to the more sensibly sized car heat. We've got the Veloster, Volvo 850R, the GTO, and we've got two of the cheapest cars in this one. We've got the 49,000 credit Golf, the 50,000 credits GTO, 53,000 credits GTO over here. So, it'll be interesting to see how they fare against everything. I'd expect the Golf to win this, however, could be wrong. Could be wrong as we get them off and underway. Slow start for the Golf. Very, very good start for the 850R as we head up towards the first water splash. The Golf isn't great through the water. This much I do know. As we head up towards the finish line, it's going to be very, very close. GTO gets it from the Volvo. The Volvo did it. Just the Volvo managed to sneak its way through into the next round. The Golf was flying towards the end but couldn't quite do it. That will put, the GTO and the Volvo through into the next round. Unfortunately, the Golf is out. The Veloster just did not quite have the speed to compete with those. My Urus is in. I don't know how much further it's going to make it, though. So, on to the semi-finals. And while there is no easy semi-final, the Volvo has got, a nasty matchup. The Touareg that comes much stronger towards the end of the run, and that Colorado that's mighty in the water. Now, the top two will go through to the final, so we have a four-car final, which is the easiest way of fitting everything in this kind of area. It's not a particularly wide drag race here. It's a good start from the Volvo in all of this. This is what we know. The Volvo can get off the line pretty well. The Colorado soars through the air nicely. Very nearly Touareg landing on Volvo as they bounce through the air. It's gonna be a Volvo into the next round. The Touareg couldn't do it. That scares the crap out of me because I couldn't beat the Touareg. Colorado is through and probably the favourite currently in this, or certainly the Colorado and the Land Rover the favourites in this. The Volvo has a great performance. Great performance from the Volvo to put it through. Unlucky for the Touareg as that is now out. So it is my semi-final time. The Urus up against the GTO. That's probably where my race is going to be. I don't think I can beat the Land Rover unless we get a very, very good launch. Unless we get everything perfect in the Urus, I think it is going to be very difficult for me to beat that Land Rover. But we will have to wait and see. You never know. It's possible for... Oh, it's a very, very... Look how it's so quick off the line for that Land Rover, although it's very out of control in this first section. The GTO can't take the water. It's not as good across the jump. This is where my battle lies. Can I beat it? No, we can't beat the GTO. GTO gets us. The Land Rover's through, comfortably through. The Land Rover's so bloody fast down there. I thought for a second I could have got the GTO. I almost got it. However, in some respects, I think there's one bit the GTO didn't quite get as much airtime as me, and it helped it get a little bit more powered down, because it had wheels on the ground in the end. I couldn't quite do it. We will go no further. Unfortunately, I am out of the competition, but it's not a bad showing for a stock Urus. So, here we have our finalists. Mitsubishi GTO, Chevy Colorado, the Land Rover, and the Volvo. Interestingly, of all the vehicles, yeah, we've got two big, I say one big truck, one smaller off-roader, and then a sports car and a estate car. Not quite the final I was expecting, however, it is the final we have got. Nevertheless, let's set them on their way. The Land Rover is so immensely fast off of the line, but can it stay in control for the whole way down here? The Colorado is closing. This is really the battle up at the front. It can't close enough. Land Rover wins. Colorado takes second. Volvo will beat the GTO. I think the GTO might have got a little bit unlucky in that race. In the end, neither of them had an answer, though, for that Land Rover. Wherever it's gone, it's buried itself off into the scenery. There it is. The Land Rover does a fantastic job. It is not easy to drive. You saw how much it moved around in the semi-final. A wobbly, wonky thing to drive, but so much power when you get it right. It's immensely fast down this nasty drag strip. Oh, and there we go. That could have happened on the race, for example. That's the danger you have with it. Colorado immense through the water, and it made up its time on that, but not quite enough. And now we've got some celebratory rolls for good luck. Either way, well, the four of them, better than the Urus. And still, the GTO remains the only car to have beaten the Urus in all events. And the final challenge for these budget-built cars is a 0 to 100 to 0. Now, we've done these in the past. However, this is the first time we've done it on the ice. We're also not very good at doing a straight line, but never mind about that. It's close enough. Yeah, we've got a frozen lake. We've got a frozen lake. We're going to run down here up to 100 miles an hour, jump on the brakes, and try and get the vehicle stopped. Now, that's, I'd say, easier said than done. There's going to be some wandering. Now, we are all relatively tightly packed on here, because if you start wandering further away from this sort of strip, you end up on the snow and on the bouncy bits, and things might fall over and invalidate the results. It's as good as we can do it here. It's not quite perfect. We're also a little bit, tiny bit concerned about the Land Rover. It is not the most controllable thing in the world. That's why it's going last, because that certainly is going to wander around here. Either way, I'm hoping the Urus will have some good traction out here on the ice. I'm going to try not wander too much around all of this. Once we hit 100 miles an hour, it'll be on the brakes for us, on the snow, on the ice, and we have come to a halt. I think I have wandered a little bit. I could be a bit further across. There is some bumps over there, so I don't want to wander too far across. That looks like that's moving around quite a lot. Will we beat the Veloster? No, it's the first time the Veloster. We've already wandered a long way. Let's hope somebody will move back across this side, or parking behind the Veloster or something. We'll see how the the Touareg is coming up next. That is going on the brakes. It's gone longer than me, just further than me. So we beat the Touareg. I'm kind of surprised. I am kind of surprised on that one. I guess perhaps the lighter Veloster, just less mass to slow down. Probably got a decent amount of power. Let's be honest, guys. The Colorado is trying to duck in behind us. That's very good. That's very, very good for the Chevy back there. That's an impressive stop. Yeah, we're comprehensively beaten by that Colorado. What we got next? It looks like it's wiggling for the Focus. Oh, that's on the brakes. The Focus has gone long. We will beat the Focus in all of that. So the Focus is done for in this competition. I think the Focus went to go into went to do the quick chat, entered photo mode by accident. We've all done that at some point. Well, next, Volvo. Oh, it's a good showing from the Volvo. I think the Volvo has possibly just lost out to the Colorado. That's a very good show. The Volvo was quick at the drag race. The Volvo was quick at the drag race, though, so that's perhaps not too much of a surprise. What have we got next going on? Oh, the Focus. That counts better than the other Focus, but doesn't beat the Volvo, doesn't beat the Colorado, Now the Golf, this is kind of an important one. We're expecting this to do very, very well in this competition, and not quite as good as that Colorado. The Chevy can just put its power down on this horrible icy surface. I'm hoping something's going to try and shoot a gap through the middle of a terrible mess we've made. We just wandered a lot in this, basically, and the GTO is looking good as well. I can't quite make out from back here. I think the GTO might have even gone better than Colorado. Certainly, the GTO has comprehensively beaten me in this contest. The Vandura is going to do actually very, very well also in this. This is surprisingly close. The Urus has done poorly, it's safe to say. The Land Rover is either going to be amazing or crash. Those are the two options, I think, that the Land Rover is going to have. And the answer is going to be... oh no, actually quite distinctly average. And there we go. In fact, it might just slightly beat me. Very, very close indeed to this one. Let's go and have a little fly around with our photo motor. We'll pause the vehicles where they are. The Golf just beats out the Focus, and then we come back here. The GTO is going to win it. The GTO is going to win the 0 to 100 to 0 section. Would you look at that? That's a mighty impressive showing for the Mitsubishi. That will beat out the Colorado. That is going to take just by maybe... it's not very much. That is not very much at all. It's very difficult to judge without any sort of points of reference, because you can be slightly skewed with the drone mode if you're not looking perfectly straight. I think the Colorado's got it in that one. Very, very close for second and third. The Golf beats the Focus, that beats the Vandura. Vandura did well getting stopped there. That's a lot of van to try and slow down. Over here we have the Veloster. Best showing for the Veloster. The first time it beats the Urus of the day. Yeah, Land Rover beats my Lamborghini. However, we beat the Touareg. The Focus is the furthest distance of the lot. So, there we go. 0 to 100 to 0. That would go to the GTO, although very good showings from the Colorado, and the 850R, surprisingly good at this particular challenge. So, after much fun racing our vehicles off-road, we need some sort of conclusion. Out of all of this, well, only one vehicle beat the Urus in all of the challenges, and that would be the GTO. Yes, for 53,000 credits, the GTO could beat the Urus just about everywhere. Of course, yes, there is an element of, well, Forza allowing cars like this to get away with off-roading, perhaps a little bit more extremely than they might normally, but all-wheel drive from standard, randy suspension, randy tyres on the GTO, and you don't need too much money to make it very, very competitive. The only place with the Urus where I could really challenge the GTO was through the water. In the water section, I could go faster than the GTO. Very nearly beat it at the river race. Was fairly close on the drag race as well, but that was because of the water sections, essentially. I can make up time through there, whereas the GTO would be faster, just in general. The Golf could, for slightly less credits, 49,550 for the Golf. That could beat the Urus in some events, but it couldn't beat them. It couldn't beat the Urus overall, so I think the GTO would have to be the winner. An honorary mention, I think, for the Colorado as well. It was slightly unlucky the ice race had a tumble that dropped it back. It was a quicker vehicle than the Urus. It absolutely dominated in the river run. It could go faster than anything through the water because of that ground clearance. So for a more similar vehicle to the Urus, more off-road capabilities and more general speed when it got to the circuits, the Colorado would be the one. It is more expensive though, 84,000 credits needed to build the Colorado that was used here, and it did have a tendency to fall over from time to time that the Urus didn't quite get, but yeah, it was, the Colorado was mighty fast. Mighty fast through a lot of these events. So, there we go, yeah. Just under 54,000 credits is enough to build a vehicle to beat the Urus. But it can it can be done. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do these races. I had to come up with this always like the special circuits for this sort of showdown. That though is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.